Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm trying to set some stuff up still because everything is all screwy. There will be no demo tonight, other than what I just was messing around with. But that's neither here nor there right now. Hi, everyone. I see some of you are early. Lalo is here. Mai is here. Claudio is here. That's nice. It's nice to have some people watching. Um, if you're watching on Facebook, I would totally recommend that you switch over to YouTube because it does sound better. Um, and this is a strange one, so I really hope that you're patient with me because let me tell you, this was a hard one to put together. And I hate to say it, but I lied. I have a feeling that this one may turn into like a three-parter instead of a two-parter because it's that big of a thing. So, what is this video about? Um, or this stream, I should say, video. Well, we're going to explore August of 2007 when one of the largest earthquakes hit Lima, and we just happened to be there. It was our very first um, trip to Lima, which is very interesting in and of itself. So I'm going to tell you the whole story and we're going to go through it all. But I thought that you should get a very good idea of everything that happens, kind of like the setup. I have to set this up. So we arrived in Lima, and I wish I could have gotten all together all the footage I had from that time and put that part together, like us arriving at the airport and all that. But it was almost impossible to find everything that I needed. So what I wanted to do the most was to get the music stuff down and the more pertinent parts of the situation, as it were. So, yeah, you're going to listen to a lot of live things, but not the actual show because by the time that I edited all the stuff that I edited, I didn't even get to the show yet. And then I realized that the show itself was quite extensive, much more than I thought, actually. So, um, oh, we have some people joining us on YouTube. So I'm taking a little bit of extra leisure time so that no one misses out because this is one of those things where you kind of want to watch it from the beginning and understand the situation. So here we are. We arrive in Lima, August 2007. And the first thing we do is we're taken to a restaurant, we get to eat, we get to check into the hotel, all these, nice things. We get to see the city for the first time. And as I remember it, actually, we arrived late at night. So we actually didn't get to see the city when we first arrived. So the next morning, that's how I'm remembering it correctly now. The next morning, when we woke up, it was like a steady stream of things to do. We had interviews at radio stations. We had a taping of a live TV show, which we're going to get into. And we were going to go to this bar called the Yakana Bar. We weren't intended to play there. We were going there just to make an appearance. Um, because the actual show, help me out here if I get this wrong, Lalo, was at a place called, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the place now. Uh, because I got a little bit confused. Was it Voce or the Science Center or something like that? I don't know. He'll help me out with that part because we're not on the show part yet. So anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna play the first installment, Voce. Yeah. So that was the name of the venue, Voce. But we actually didn't get a chance to go to Voce or do anything that day because of what happened. So our story begins like this.
Earthquake. Yeah, the one. Yeah, but we're not used to have this kind of long earthquake. Oh shit, man, it's moving. Oh shit, this is a big one. Whoa!
Sociedad civil para concretar sus aspiraciones de contar con un presupuesto justamente para este tema. Bueno.
Tranquilo, tranquilo.
La gente tiene que salir de aquí. Está corriendo. Ay, Dios mío.
Por favor. Okay, it's over.
Pero tenía que haber dicho algo de su marido.
So forgive me that the switching is going to be a little weird going back and forth between, because it's really hard to switch between videos and live feed. It's not as simple as it seems. I have to push a fader down, switch screens, and spill my iced tea all over myself too. Oh man, I got it all over me. Gross. Ah. Well, like a champ, I'm gonna live with it. I literally have iced tea all over me. Oh, that sucks. Oh man. Awful. Oh. On the next break, I will go get myself cleaned up. Yeah, that's right, Lalo. That's when we first met you. So I want you to understand. So the earthquake happened after our TV show. So we had had a pretty interesting morning. We had gone to lunch. We had, enjoyed our stay in the city. Then we went home to, home. When I say home, I mean the hotel. We'd gone back to the hotel to just kind of freshen up to meet everyone at the Econo Bar later on. We had stopped by the Econo Bar earlier in the day just to say hi, take pictures, meet people, and that kind of thing. But Yeah, the earthquake lasted 2 minutes. And what I wanted to do is that when I played that first section, I wanted you to get the sense of the exact 2 minutes. So I left that to be 2 minutes long. So you can go back and watch it and you'll see it's 2 minutes of the earthquake. And that is Donya's voice that you're hearing because she was out on the street. Um, Donya, Paul, and Steve were out on the street when it happened. They were outdoors. I was indoors and I was writing, just writing in my journal. But so bear in mind that this whole earthquake situation happens after the taping of this show. So basically, all the stuff you're going to see, most of it, um, is the behind the scenes taping of the show and the songs we did. And I don't know what got aired in the end. But I was surprised because I thought there was only two songs, and it turns out there's a couple more, and some of them were really surprising. Um, so we're going to see the whole backstage thing, or rather the taping of that show, which I never got to see the final except for Answer Me, which I think I have played here before. So we're not going to play that one tonight. But um, what's interesting about this is that I can't believe that I had this much of the footage. But as far as the earthquake goes, obviously I don't have much of the footage. We didn't carry a lot of stuff with us back then as far as cameras and all that stuff. We're lucky that Steve was carrying his video camera, but it wasn't out on the street when it happened. So, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here with iced tea all over my lap, which is really icky right now. Oh my God, it feels awful. But that threw me off, unfortunately. So now my memory's like all like messed up. But so what I want you to understand is that we weren't, I mean, no one's ever expecting an earthquake, but we weren't expecting anything of that magnitude to happen. So you saw the earthquake. Um, so now I'm going to take you through the hours that we spent taping that show. And, well, it's interesting. So I'm going to take you through the taping of the show and the aftermath of something that happened with the earthquake because it had a good, well, I can't say it had a good effect. It didn't have a good effect at all. It was terrible. In fact, I saw half the city devastated the minute I finally walked out of that hotel while the thing was still going on. But I'm going to get into that as well. We'll talk about it. But for now, um, like I said, it's going to be a three-parter. So I don't know how long it'll take. Maybe it won't take long at all. But this is as far as I got. So I'm going to go as far as I got with my editing. This was an undertaking. Just let me tell you that this was not an easy one to edit at all. Um, so here we are. You saw the intro bit. We were just jamming around. Funny enough, the show was called Jamming. And so a bit of unexpected stuff we played. So here we go. I'm going to play the first track from that show that we did on TV. This is 65. Well, I'll let her tell.
Su cuarto aniversario, hicieron un concierto en la discoteca Bosé y de paso vinieron aquí en Jamming, por supuesto. Tenemos una canción ahora de un compilatorio de ellos, The Best of Anything Box, y la canción es 65 Million Miles.
I heard from the station you're leaving tonight. I knew it would happen someday. Still I feel so numb. You're going home.
Ah, wow. What camera is that? That's crazy. Overhead? That's funny. Yeah, 65 million miles. Um, which I didn't know we had done that one. Um, when oops. Oh, I just messed up. Ah. See, I told you switching between the two cameras and all that stuff is kind of hard. But and hopefully I won't spill iced tea again on myself because this show has already started all messed up. I am completely soaked. And I was gonna change, but it was like, it's not worth it now. Anyway, I have to work on the studio chair tomorrow anyway, so it might as well. It might as well have spilled all over me. So yes, 65 million miles, which I'm pretty sure did not go on the air. So it was one of those things. I've never seen the actual show itself, how it turned out in the end. I only have the footage, which was filmed by Steve on the back end stuff. So thank goodness that we have it because it kind of sets a, I don't know, it's an interesting mood because you have to understand what we were going to do was basically tape this show, go back to the hotel at 8 or 9, I believe it was supposed to air. We were going to watch it, obviously. I think we had to do a radio interview right before it aired or something like that, but obviously that didn't happen. So, um, little by little, I will tell you, like what happened when the earthquake hit. So, the first thing that happened is that I was in my room and I was writing in my journal. I love that hotel, and it was just a wonderful place. So I was just sitting on literally by the windowsill writing when this sound, I heard this sound. I heard it before I felt it. Um, it sounded like, best that I can describe it is that some heavy truck hit the building. That's what I thought had happened. I realized that it was an earthquake when, after the initial jolt, it wasn't stopping. Um, of course, I live in California. We have earthquakes here, but nothing prepared me for that. So I sat there, as I remember it. I was sitting there, sort of counting it down, like thinking of a California quake. I was like, okay, 20 seconds. So I was looking at my watch and I was like, 20 seconds, it'll be over. And 20 seconds later, it wasn't over. 30 seconds later, it wasn't over. And the first cracks on the wall appeared. And I kind of figured, oh man, I have to get out of here. And it's a funny moment because, and I'll never forget it, because I stepped out to look down the hallway of the hotel, and the floor was, doing one of these. I could see the floor moving. And this guy had just come out of his room, and he was in his underwear, and so was I. We were both in our underwear. And I could tell he was German by the way he spoke English. He had a German accent, so he was like, "East earthquake, East earthquake," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's an earthquake." He goes, "What do we do?" And I was like, "Get our clothes on." That's what I said. Get our clothes on. So I run back in and I grab something or other. But there was an interesting moment that I had that I've had this moment happen a couple of times in my life, and it's difficult to explain because no one's going to understand it, but I'll try. This weird calmness came over me. It's as if I knew this is not the day. This is not the day that I die. I have nothing to worry about. It's not today. And for whatever reason, I took the stairs down to the lobby. So it was almost as if I was in slow motion and I was just watching the entire thing happen. And as I was walking down the stairs, there was a crack on the wall that I remember vividly following me down. So I'm walking and the crack is following me down that wall. And remember, this is only 2 minutes. And these 2 minutes, this is what I experienced. And of course, I stepped through the doors of the hotel finally towards the end. And there was like thousands of people on the street just running. And it was just mayhem. And I remember thinking, we were just we were just taping a few hours ago. Like what is happening? Because we didn't know like what was going to happen next. It looked so devastating that, quite frankly, the show was an afterthought. It was more like, how are we getting home? Is there even going to be an airport? Like it was just mayhem. It was complete madness. So, you know, this is what it was like, and we were right there. We were there, and my bandmates were on the street the entire time. They never came back to the hotel. So as far as I know, they stayed in that street area, and they were out and about. They saw me when I stepped out of the hotel, and they were like, "What are you doing?" Because I was just standing in the doorway. Um, Not the first time that I've stood in a doorway during an earthquake, by the way, but it was one of those feelings. I don't know. I just knew I wasn't in danger that day. Not that that made me cocky, mind you. It was just sort of like this weird, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than it felt rather mystical, for lack of a better word. I don't know how else to describe it. I just knew I wasn't going to die that day. So I might as well take it all in and see everything that I was seeing, because it was so massively like intense. So, you know, but I wasn't in my underwear when I was outside, by the way. I had clothes on by then. And I think I even had my bag. I don't know why I even had my bag, because I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking, what if I can't get back to the room and I need a change of clothes? So I think in my backpack I had a pair of pants and a shirt that I stuffed in there on my way out. So I did all this in 2 minutes, by the way. So, but it felt like I had stopped time. Um, but anyway, so in case you're joining us right now, and when I say us, I mean me and the rest of you who are listening. In case you're just joining us, this particular stream is going to focus on um, this rehearsal for a TV show that we were taping, and there was an earthquake right after this happened. So I'm playing the rehearsal, and then I'm going to play a little bit of the aftermath of the earthquake and what happened, as to the best of my memory. Because, I mean, look, it was a long time ago, and most of the details are there. But it's funny, as I tell the story, it's almost as if more details come out, which is obvious. You know, it's not like I think about this every day, but it did stay with me, and it did create a sort of bond with the country and the people of that country in that day, which to this day I know was precipitated by that earthquake. I know that if that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have been as intense a relationship as it turned out. So I I really, really uh, want to drive that point home. That was the beginning of a very intense period of time for me, and it only got weirder as time went by. But definitely, that first trip to Lima was incredible, and there's a reason why we were there. That's even more incredible, and I'm going to play that the stuff that goes with that anyway. I'm babbling. Okay. Um, I'll switch. It's funny. Yeah, that's fine. I'll switch. You know what? I have an idea. Hold on. Let me try something. What if I do this? Ah, there we go. Now I can talk, show the video, and then when the darn thing finishes, I can come back. That's good. Okay, I figured it out. I figured out something new. Anyway, here's the next track from the backstage taping of the show, which is funny because pay attention to the stuff you're hearing in the background because it's interesting. Remember, this is a taping; it's not live yet, so we did make mistakes and we did some retakes, which is kind of funny. But I didn't put those in because I didn't see the point. But it would have made this thing a lot longer. But anyway, here you go.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Tenemos aquí el jamming con Anything Box y estuvimos invitados de Spring, para verlo por favor, Diego.
Ok, perfecto. Se fue la pantalla, Cholo, eso fue porque tú...
Oh, it worked. It switched by itself. That's awesome. It worked. Except for that echo. But that's okay. I can take that out. Um, so Paul's in the audience. That's nice. Hi, Pablo. I'm glad you're here. You missed the beginning, but it's this weird thing. I think we were jamming along to the show's intro. Is that right? Or did we just make something up on the fly? It was basically you playing guitar and I was jamming on the chaos pad and some other stuff. But I think it was part of the show's intro. But it was fun. It was anyway. It was. Ah, so that's what it was. Okay, cool. Well, you did good, man. It sounded great. So, except you couldn't hear what I was doing on the chaos pad. So whatever it was, it's it's gone. But I could hear some bass thing and some drum stuff that was going on in there. But so yeah, I think well, like I said, I never got to see the airing of the show. None of us did because if you remember, we were supposed to watch the airing of the show, but then of course the earthquake hit after this taping. So there was not that we didn't get to watch it. We watched something else live, and it wasn't the TV show. In fact, I remember not even thinking about the TV show at all, like at all. Like after the earthquake, all we were concerned with was how to get messages back home that we were okay, because by then the news had gone out that there'd been this giant earthquake, and by within a few hours, by the way, I just want to say, um, oh, no, I have the Yakana footage, Steve. Sorry, I'm talking to Steve and Paul at the same time as I'm talking to you. So, Steve, I have the footage of the Yakana bar. In fact, you're going to see all of it tonight. Um, but I do have the actual concert. I wish I had more stuff on the earthquake itself and the aftermath, or some of the aftermath. I have some of it, but not all of it. But getting back to the story, so yeah, we're just taping this show. It's going to air at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and we have no idea, of course, that there's this massive event's about to happen, which um, wound up changing the entire course of the entire week. So let's talk about that too, because that is an interesting, particularly because of the next song I'm going to play. It's very important to tell this story. So the first South American country we'd ever been to was actually Ecuador, Guayaquil. That was the actual first South American country we visited. And the reason that this is significant is because of the following event. So we had gone to Ecuador, and I was alone in my room. The band had gone to do like pre-show or post-show party. I don't know. It was some sort of party that they went to. I stayed behind in my hotel room. I had a migraine, usual. So I stayed behind, and I was just trying to get a little bit of rest in my hotel room. And I turned on the TV, and there was a documentary. Oh my God, really? Hold on, I have to ban a stupid. Oh, this is dumb. Okay, that was weird. Nothing like a Tinder advert happening while you're trying to talk here. So, um, but anyway, that was kind of funny, but not. But yes, funny. No, I don't know. It was funny. Where was I? Oh, these distractions. So, so I was in my room. I was watching this documentary on, of all things, Argentine models. It was about Argentine supermodels. It was just a documentary on Ecuadorian TV. So it was the tail end, and what it was this weird nostalgic feeling of listening to uh, the reporter, the narrator, and the models themselves speaking with an accent that I know very well, and it's, of course, my native tongue. So as I was watching this documentary, it ended, and then there was another short documentary on Machu Picchu. And this becomes significant because it was there in that room while watching that documentary that I decided I want to go there. I want us to go there. And I started to think of the different ways that we could get to go to Peru. It was not that it was calculated, it was sort of intentional. And it's a big deal to me. I believe in this stuff because it's true and it works. So I sat there in my room with my notebook open and I basically said, we're going to go to Peru. We're going to go to Machu Picchu and we're going to play a show there. And that was the goal. And I sat in that room, I don't know, maybe an hour or two, just thinking about it, like how. And then, of course, the whole Argentina thing made this equation in my head. Wait, Carmen was a hit in Argentina. Why don't we re-record Carmen and do it in Spanish? And then we can release it as a single, together with some other things that people don't know as much. We'll release it in South America. We'll see if it does something. And maybe that's what'll get us to Peru. That was the idea. Record Carmen in Spanish. That'll get us to Peru. Well, my peeps, my wonderful, wonderful peeps, because I do love you. That is exactly what happened. I came back and I remember this vividly, telling the band this idea. And at first they were like, you're crazy. It's not going to work. They definitely questioned my judgment on this one. That's how I remember it. Paul can either say, yeah, I remember not liking that idea, or he might have gone along with it the whole time. But I remember there was some resistance to that idea. So I set out to work. I wanted to work on that track. And for 2 months, I did nothing but labor over that. And we talked about it a lot online, mostly MySpace, because at that time in 2007, there was really no Facebook yet. And if there was, none of us were on it. At least to the best of my knowledge, none of us were on it. But we were all on MySpace, of course. So the idea was we're going to just promote the shit out of it on MySpace and see what happens. Can we make this happen? So we started talking about it. And that's right, Lisa, on YouTube. Speak it into existence. That is correct. That is exactly what I did. The entire time that I was recording that song, the entire time that we were just trying to get a new version together, because for a while now I had wanted a new version for the live show. So that's a fact. I did want a new version. So it was one of those things that I knew it was going to happen. I just knew it. So we wound up recording the song. My mom, God rest her soul, actually helped me with the lyrics, as did Danya. We would go on walks and try to figure out like what the lyrics were going to be like, trying to figure out how to translate the song and make it work. All this stuff. And while we were doing it, we got the offer to go to Peru. And one of the first things that I said to the promoters were, we want to go, but we want to go to Machu Picchu. So however we plan it, we must go to Machu Picchu. So we worked it out that we would go to Peru, play a show, and then they would fly us to Machu Picchu to see it. And talk about craziness. Craziness is that is exactly what happened, although it didn't happen in the order that we planned because of the earthquake. But again, I'm getting ahead of the story. But here is the very first time, I think, that we actually played the song to an audience in Spanish. I believe this is the first time. I don't think we did it in Ecuador because we had come back from Ecuador. We hadn't gone back. So this is in the interim of having returned from Ecuador, then going to Peru. So I am very sure that this is the first time we ever played it. Um, anyway, Carmen in Spanish on the taping of the Jammin' TV show. Here you go.
Ok, prenia. Aquí estábamos, prenio. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Estamos llegando al final del programa que como realmente la señora Anything Box, que además ha traído su último EP, el Future Past, que tiene unas cuantas versiones de una canción que se llama Carmen. Seguro que me han contado ellos que Carmen es una de las canciones más exitosas de la banda en América Latina. Y para despedirnos, se lo dejamos a ustedes aquí live en el Jam. Que pasen una buena semana. Chau.
Uh-oh. Come on. Switch. No. I couldn't get it to switch. That's funny. Um, so yeah, I think that was the first time we played it in Spanish. So I can remember like it's hard to remember all the backstage taping of the thing because I was so nervous. So of course, imagine the last couple of days watching this and trying to edit it together. I knew we had played it at the show itself, but I didn't know we had done it on the TV show. So that was kind of cool. It was a good rehearsal. I think we actually did it better on the TV show than we did it in the actual show. But it was crazy, man. But it was nice. Like we really enjoyed doing it. So you know, uh, so anyway, I don't know how long the show was, the TV show. I don't know how many songs they were going to feature, but the next song that would have been on there was Answer Me, which I did have, but it had so many errors in it that it wasn't worth showing because there's already a video of that online, which I think that's the one that got aired. If they only aired one or two songs, it was probably Answer Me and obviously Living in Oblivion. So I don't know if they aired the Carmen one. So if they did, let me know. If you were there and you saw it on TV, let me know. But I don't know that they aired it. But at least we have it. So anyway, getting back to the story. So there we were. We had released this Future Past EP, which by the way, that was 2007. So I get dibs that I got that name first, Duran Duran. Sorry. No offense, but I thought of it first, man. But but yeah. So the Future Past EP is what it was called. And of course, it was some remixes of uh, Carmen done in Spanish, a new version in English, with remixes, a couple of other songs that were unknown to some people, and two B sides. And we put that out, and that got us to Peru, and that was like an amazing thing. Like I was kicking myself. Oh my god, really? This whole site, this whole Tinder thing is back. Ay ay ay, so funny. So like, what do they think is going to happen? This is going out to the scammers. What do you think is going to happen when people are watching this? Do you really think they're going to go on some weird Tinder site from this stream? I really doubt that. Anyway, it's really dumb. Oh, nice. Heiko says catching the end just off a plane from San Francisco, New Order, and Pet Shop Boys. Nice. That's awesome. Thank you. Canada is now watching, he says. Thank you. So, TMT Mixes says, love every distant sigh on Future Past. Thank you. Thank you for that. They want you to promote them, Christy says. Well, I don't. I don't promote that sort of thing. But I'm talking about the Tinder scammers that are on trying to scam people on YouTube. If you see anything on YouTube that's me going to send you money, it's not. Okay? So just stop. So, moving right along to the story here. So, like I said, I'm not going to play the Answer Me one because that one's already on YouTube. You can find it on our channel. It's there. So I'm not going to play that one. I didn't have time to clean that one up. There was too many errors. And besides, we had a perfectly good one. So there was no reason to. But I am going to play the last one, of course, from the event. And then it takes us into earthquake territory. What happened after this? So before I play the next song, I want you to know sort of what happened here. So we play the last song, which is the one I'm going to play. Again, Answer Me first, then, of course, the last song, which you'll know which one it is. But we played the last song, and I had just met Lalo. I hope he remembers this. But they had all this crazy rain for like the last week. And when we arrived, the weather was really dry. So jokingly, when we left the actual TV studio, I said, I guess we brought California weather with us. And that was the joke, that we had brought California weather with us. Well, one aspect of California weather that we hadn't planned on was about to happen right after that. So, from, if I remember correctly, because this part I'm a little hazy on here, I don't know if we went to the park and we had some sort of lunch after the taping or before the taping. That part I can't remember when we had the lunch. But I know we had lunch. We took a few photographs. We stopped by the Ikana. Yes, I do remember that, Lalo. You said that something was weird. And I said, well, I guess we brought the California weather with us. So I do remember that conversation. It was right after we left the studio. So anyway, because we have more material to get through, I'm going to go to the next song. But you'll get to hear the last song from the taping. And then I'll come back. So this was the last song we played when we were doing the taping of this thing. And so if you're joining us, this is from 2007, August, when Lima was hit with an almost double 8.1, I believe. It was on, I think it wound up being 2 back-to-back quakes, and I think it totaled 8.1, which was crazy stuff, man. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to play the last one from that taping.
La que lo llevó por el camino del éxito. Con ustedes, Living in Oblivion.
I
We switch. Come on. Yeah. That's so funny. So you're funny, Steve. You you said that I asked for the crash cymbal to be on stage, but I only struck it once or twice during the whole taping. Well, my friend, not so, because during 65 million miles, I used it a lot more, and during Answer Me, I used it. But I'm glad that they put it on stage because for the show that happened on the Sunday, it actually worked out. And I was watching some of the outtakes because remember, there's outtakes where we played only like a half of the song or a quarter of the song. On some of those, I used it a lot more actually. I think what happened is that once the show was actually running and we were really taping, I might have gotten nervous. But I was looking at it today thinking, I need to bring the cymbals back on stage. I like having them up there. I do like having them. And I used it when Paul was doing his jam thing too. So that was kind of cool. But but yeah, now of course I would probably use it a lot more. But it was the beginnings of me bringing stuff on stage with for me to play because I was getting nervous of just being the singer guy and being thought of as just the singer guy, even though like 99% of what you're hearing is from me. But it's that funky feeling of like I don't get to play anything. So the Chaos Pad was one of the first things. Aw, that's cool, Pablo. So it was one of those things where like I wanted to play something too. So the Chaos Pad was one of the first things that I took on stage with me. And then the cymbals. So I'm gonna start asking for them again because I think that I like having them on stage. It's gonna be put back on my rider, darn it. I want cymbals. Maybe even toms. I don't know. Maybe. So but but anyway, no, I did mess up. I totally messed up. The last I came off of playing the Chaos Pad in my head, congratulating myself, like, damn, that was good. You did some good stuff in there. And then when I was done, I was like, oh shit. Couldn't remember the first line of the last verse. So no symbols for you. So I don't know. So something happened and I messed up the last verse, but it's okay. It was live on TV, which is what you do. You mess up and you just keep going. You just keep going. Pablo knows about that. Hmm. So that was the last song. It was all nice. We had just made new friends. The people from the show were fantastic. We were gonna go for a drink. I believe that is the first time I had a pisco sour at that point. Right after this, and again, I can't remember. Lalo, help me. Do you remember us going to the park and taking pictures and all that after the taping or before the taping? Because that kind of sets up the present situation here. Pablo says, I'm the king of mess ups on live TV. Nah, you're not. You just get nervous, like all of us, man. We get nervous when you're on TV and it's a live thing. You're like, what? So it was after. Okay, good. That sets up so then the story in my head is correct. So we went to eat at a very nice restaurant that's near this park. Um, and I had some footage of it, but I couldn't get it to conform today. And I was like, I'm gonna show it next time when I finish doing wrapping up this thing because like I said, this is gonna be a three-parter maybe. But so anyway, we went to eat. We went to the park. We're having a good time. We have pisco sours in us. We go back to the hotel. Van goes to walk around outside. I'm kind of, again, hanging out in my room, doing my journaling. Really happy that I can't believe we're here. Tomorrow we have a show. And then Sunday we're going to Machu Picchu. It's like, it's going to be an amazing week. I'm like totally happy. And oh man, it's a shame I don't have it with me. But when the earthquake first struck, like I said, it sounded like a truck had hit the building and my hand runs off the page. And I still have that journal where my handwriting goes off the page. I still have that. So there I am getting out of the hotel. We're now on the street and, we're like confused, like we don't know what we're going to do. The first order of business was to try to get messages back home. The phones and all that weren't like they are today, where we had smartphones and we could post and say, "Hey, I'm okay," or whatever, and post it on Twitter or Facebook, and the whole world would know we were okay. It was not like that at all. There was barely anything happening online, so we had to get to like actual phones to call home to let everyone know that we were okay, and all the phone lines were down. I remember us walking around in the city trying to find a place that had a phone that we could use, and I remember that being close to impossible. So then, of course, once we eventually were allowed back into the hotel room, um, we were basically glued to the TV, trying to ascertain the damage. And what was coming in, uh, damage wise, was catastrophic. Um, by the time, um, I would say about an hour or 2 hours had passed after the earthquake, 17 people were already dead. Um, and I don't know if you guys know the stats, but in total, I think about 520 people died in that earthquake. So it was a big deal. Um, so we're watching the TV. I wound up on the news. I remember that. I remember we wound up on the news, and someone asked us if the concert was going to get canceled, and we really weren't sure. We weren't sure what was going to happen. We weren't sure if we were just going to go home the next day. Um, and it was mayhem. Like I said, there was total mayhem. Um, which is why the following things you're going to see is so crazy, because of all the things that you would think we would do, this was probably the last thing you would think that we would want to do. But there was this sort of strange energy on the street, and we couldn't just— Thank you, Steve, for the statistics there. I'm going to read them. It's so 519 dead, 1,366 injured, and 58,000. Oh my God, that number. 58,581 homes were destroyed. So yeah, and we were there. So it was crazy. We were watching. I just remember just watching the devastation and just thinking like, we're lucky to be alive. And it was just this insane craziness. So in the end, for whatever reason, that same night, we decide we're going to go to the Akana bar and still do our signing, which we had, agreed to do, but we also wanted to play. And we just had to get the energy out of our system. And so we set up an impromptu acoustic set, semi-acoustic, you could say. And so at that point is when we were going to get the news that the show was possibly canceled and that we weren't going to be able to play at the venue, based on damage and equipment damage, all this kind of stuff that was going on. We weren't sure that there was going to be a show. Not that it was going to be postponed, but canceled. So that's the looming news that we had just gotten. So we were bummed out, of course, but at the same time, what are you going to do? There's been an earthquake, and we don't know what we're doing. So the last thing that you would think we would do was to hold an impromptu show in the basement of the Yakana bar, but that is exactly what we did. And we played a short set there. And I have that whole set, and that's what we're going to listen to next, and as part of the story that, I'm trying to tell here. So anyway, without too much of a finer point on it, let's begin. So I'm glad Pablo's here, because I don't know if he remembers, but this is the when we started the whole thing off with one of Paul's songs. So anyway, I'm going to play that song and then I'll come back and we'll talk about this impromptu set and what it really meant because it was a little bit crazy to do something like this. Um, it was like half the promoters were for it and the other half the promoters were not for it. We were like divided amongst ourselves. Like I was not 100% for it, and then I was, and then while we're doing it, I think there was like an aftershock or two, so we were kind of not wanting to do it, but in the end, it wound up being the right thing to do because there was so much tension and so much craziness going on that I felt like that was the only way to get that negative energy out of the system, if that makes any sense. We made it this far and we just, I don't know. It's like I said, I knew I wasn't going to, I just knew. So I'll play that. And here we go.
Go for it.
Mandan las fotos a MySpace.
Yeah, ¿quién está en MySpace?
Sí, ¿ustedes conocen MySpace?
Nos manden las fotos que ustedes tocaron, manden una copia para nosotros y la ponemos. ¿Ok?
Gracias, porque,
Ya, ahora me duelen los dedos, pero yo no tengo que tocar la guitarra.
pero también gracias por venir, porque hay un terremoto y las calles están vacías ahorita, casi no hay nadie ahí. Qué locura, ¿verdad? Algo raro, ¿no? Más que 2 minutos yo tenía miedo. ¿Qué es esto?
De la emoción no le he sentido.
Esto es para ustedes. Hush, hush, hurry into the dark room and try to forget the words. They seep into your head. The rules are broken tonight.
That was funny. So Paul says, I remember being shocked. The earthquake was serious, sad, and scary. Yet were here were these Peruvian new friends that came out. We had to share a moment of it's hard to read it while it's scrolling. We where were oh man, it's like scrolling up. Um we had to share a moment of strength together, even though we were scared another earthquake could happen. Yep, that's how it was. I remember just being just I think I was overcompensating because in my mind we'd been through the worst of it. So I wasn't expecting that there was going to be another. I was just worried of like how much damage had actually been done and how many people were hurt. Obviously, that was a big deal and that was sticking in my head. So it seemed like, doing the show and trying to stay, together with these fans was an important thing. So obviously, and yes, as Lisa says, we needed a little comic relief. I was so surprised that was there, by the way, Pablo, that whole Machu Picchu bit. That's so funny. So, because you wound up writing a song for that too later on. It was funny. Um, but yeah, so this is the aftermath. So if you're just watching, this was this stupid echo. That was the aftermath of the earthquake. So now we are close to the hotel, near the Yacana bar, in their basement, basically with a bunch of fans doing an acoustic show. And, again, not sure if there's going to be a show yet for the following day because we were supposed to play the very following day. So at this moment in time, we're not sure what's happening. So we're trying to do our thing. I don't have any footage of us signing stuff, but I think Steve might have some of that, but I don't have any of that footage. I'm lucky that I have the footage of us playing, which is all I care about. And for context, this was August of 2007, the very famous 2007 quake in Peru, by the way. So thank you, Lalo. Yes, it was 2007. Um, so, you know, and this was our first time in Peru. Keep that in mind that this is our first time in the country. So we're happy. We've made all these amazing new friends. We were just on TV and now we're in this polar opposite world where everything's chaotic and we don't know what's going to happen. I'll be honest, privately we had spoken about we need to leave, but I couldn't fathom the idea. We'd come so far that I didn't want us to leave. But it was definitely a thought that crossed our minds. I know it was because we talked about it, but it was one of those like we need to stick it out if we can. And so here we are at the Yacana. We're trying to do our best. And for the second time that day, we decide to play this song. Again, a very different version. And you can hear Danya describing how this was supposed to be a surprise for the show itself, but now we were going to play it for everyone else. And I think I say something in Spanish about the earthquake. I'm not sure. I didn't watch all of this all the way through because I was too busy trying to edit it. And at that point, I kind of tune out to make sure the technical bits are okay. But the sound isn't that bad, is it? All things considered, which made me think of something, by the way, off sidebar comment here. It's awesome now. Like, it's nice that people take their phones, for example, and they film stuff, but it's always like, half a song or a chorus or something, and the phone's shaking all over the place. It's never quite the way it was when like someone would take a camcorder. So I'm really grateful for this footage, by the way, Steve, because it's different than the way it would have looked if it was just a cell phone and all I was able to do was take the cell phone noise. I think the microphones in Steve's camera were quite good. So it's funny because I happen to have one of the Sony Hi8 ones, and I think I'm going to start bringing it out on tour. I really am. Because I think it would be fun to give it to somebody out in the crowd and just say, "Here, film it." Because I like, I don't know, I I like the way that it translates. So it's interesting to see this old footage. But that was my sidebar. Anyway, I'll play the next one. And you know, but we're getting along. But before I play it, I do want to tell you about one last thing. So yes, it is Bandcamp Friday. I don't even know if they're doing that, but I don't care. But also, if you were here last week, you know that I did a mixtape and I put that out as an NFT. That is still available. I didn't have time to do an NFT this week. I really wanted to, but I had so much going on here trying to finish up a single type thing. So I want to try to work on that stuff as much as I can. That's priority. But I'm trying to work it all together. So I'm going to put that link. Well, here, I'll just show you. Oh, that's you guys. But that's the mixtape from last week, which is a mixtape of the actual show that we did in Houston, Texas, the MTV festival. So it's a mixtape and you can only get it as an NFT. So that's my little commercial for the evening. I'll put the link in the comments and it'll show up on all those places that it should show up, I guess. I think so anyway. But and all that aside, I hope if this one doesn't make you subscribe, man, I don't know what else to do. Because A, I'm not a YouTuber. B, I suck at the whole promotion thing about like click on the bell and all that other crap. But subscribe. Do what it says there because I kind of need that. But it would definitely help me out if you leave comments in the video when it goes to YouTube. That's the most important thing that, like, oh my God, Denise, I have to tell you, because Denise is on here. You need to watch those from last week because you're in there and so is your friend. And you need to watch it. That's like last week's. So anyway, but so yes, I know you do, Claudio. I know you do. You're the one that's loyal, darn it. No, it would be awesome if like 30 or 40 people like literally commented on the YouTube video when it gets posted tomorrow. Because that is the big deal. But yeah, the world flooding. Wow. Okay, hold on, Paul. I'm gonna can I grab this? I'm gonna just paste what you wrote so that everybody sees it on all the channels. Paul. So that was what Paul said. I can't read it. I would need my glasses, and it's like scrolling, like, the tipping point of climate change. Paul says. Well, I don't know about that, but all I can say is it was a terrible earthquake. And I remember seeing from the plane that, yeah, it did look like the end of the world, man. Like you could literally see the entire city devastated, except for this little area in the middle, which was exactly where we were staying. And I thought to myself, how grateful are you that you're alive? So that did cross my mind. But good. I'm going to play that now because, I should. Here we go. Carmen at the Yacana.
¿Qué voy a hacer si no sentir esas just one day in the life of a fool. I don't know if you can play.
Esa es la primera vez que cantamos en castellano. Entonces, es la primera vez que estamos tocando esa canción aquí. Entonces, gracias. Entonces, mañana cuando tocamos la canción, ustedes ya saben. Carmen, las voces lloran. Carmen, mi alma se va. Entonces, mañana ustedes son los únicos que saben. Porque todo el mundo va a creer que la canción va a estar en inglés.
One more.
Notice that for the Spanish speakers, that Danya is saying, these are the words, you can sing them with us tomorrow. So at this point in time, we still thought there was a show the next day. So by the time this last song that I'm going to play for the evening, right after this, we were informed that the show was not canceled, but moved. So a decision was being made while we were playing, and we were informed of it after the next song, which is going to be the last song of the evening for me, because I don't have anything else to play for you of the event until we get to the actual concert. And that is a big undertaking because I didn't know how much we played. We went on a marathon for that show. So that's the next edit point. And I think what I'm going to do is have to break it up into two parts because pretty much it's a long one. So I don't know that I could fit that editing session. Could take me all week just to get through half of it. So I think that what I'm going to do is edit that as much of it as I can, and that'll be next week's, continuation of this story. But there is one more song to play, and we'll get into it. This one's already online and you can find it, but there's extra bits in this footage that I didn't have prior. So although the sound quality of the other one is a little bit better, there's something about this one that's kind of, I don't know, it's got some magic. So anyway, I'm going to post all of the stuff I played. I'm definitely going to post these on YouTube. So let's see, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically 8 songs tonight. So yeah, there'll be 8 videos you can watch. And if time permits, I may actually make a mixtape out of these and make that a NFT for next week. So if time permits. So to be continued. That's funny because it is almost a 1980s sitcom, especially with me talking. But yeah, it kind of helps me out in a weird way because I don't have to think about what's next week's stream. I already know what it's all about. This long flippin' show. But I have to say the footage of the show itself is really good. I mean, it's not the greatest quality, but it's really good footage and you can really see the crowd and it's pretty amazing. I just didn't know that we played that many effing songs in one night. I think that was the pent up energy of it all. So to give you context as to what happened, this was the change. All public gatherings, as Steve just said, were to be suspended. Sort of reminds me of the lockdown, doesn't it? So yeah, public gatherings were to be suspended. You could go to church, you couldn't go to concerts, all of that for a few days. So until they kind of, could figure things out, concert was not canceled, but postponed. So right after this song, 2 things had to happen. We had to make an announcement that was going to go on the news, which is really weird, but it was going to go on the news as if we were that important. I don't really think we were that important, but they deemed it important to tell everyone that the concert wasn't canceled but moved to the Sunday, and which was like 4 or 5 days away. And what they were going to do was fly us out of Lima into Machu Picchu so that we could do that thing there and be away from the earthquake stuff. And then we would come back, hopefully with everything figured out, and we could do our concert. So everything got moved. So we went from being in the middle of an earthquake to going to one of the most ancient places on earth, which is a total mind. It's just mind blowing. The whole thing is mind blowing. Just to think of it, what was going on and like how it was all happening. It was just crazy chaos, like I said. So well, I don't have much of the stuff from the trip to Cusco, Steve. If you've got any footage, you've got to send it because I don't have anything. I have very little. I have some footage of the kid on the bus. I have a little bits of Machu Picchu, and that's about it. I don't have a lot. And what I do have, I'm going to edit together for next week's stream as far as the show goes. But yeah, the trip to Cusco is pretty crazy too. And, we'll talk about that one on the next stream because it's more involved with what happens next in the story. But yeah, we went to Cusco, and that we were going to basically leave for Cusco the next day, I believe. So all this mayhem, suddenly we're jumping on planes and, all that stuff to leave the earthquake site. But I will say this, that whatever happened that day solidified everything about Peru for me. It was like, I love these people. I love being here. I just, it was like an entire cultural shock of everything that had happened sealed the deal for me. And from then on, it was just a love affair. It really was. It was just an extreme love of the country, but especially the people. Not to mention the food, because the food is amazing. Best food you've ever had, by the way. But among the best, I should say, because obviously people get insulted. But it was among the best. But someday, Steve says. But so not next week. But I have some of it. But yeah, crazy stuff happened in Cusco. I almost died. So that's the lead into the story for next week. How I almost died. And how Paul got chased by like stray dogs. So and there's more. There's more that happened in Cusco. But sadly, we didn't do a show there. But it's one of those things that stays with you. But I'm going to play that last bit, that last song, obviously. And then I'm going to say goodnight about 10 minutes early because I am tired. I edited all this footage. It took me a few days to get all this stuff together. And I had to stop work on the other thing I'm working on kind of to do it. And it's really weird switching hats. So it wasn't the easiest week to get to all this. So I'm going to play this last song. And then after that, it's good night, my friends. But thank you for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out and listening to the story. And if I got anything wrong, Pablo or Lalo, if I got anything wrong, please feel free. Correct me next week. Because obviously I want to, get things right. But as it stands, now this will be, quote, history forever because I'm leaving it on YouTube and then obviously it'll be there forever. But thank you. Thank you for noticing. I did move things around, but not the way you think. The studio is a complete disaster. I wound up writing a song this week, recording it, and adding it to something, and then it was like, oh man, all this crazy stuff. The dolls you're talking about, most of them are gifts that I get from people, and I put them up on. So if anyone ever gives me a small, if you give me a big doll, it won't go on my windowsill. But if you give me a small robot or a doll, it usually goes in my window. And of course, some weird, creepy things that nobody would put on their windowsill except me, like this guy. See him? Anyway, my spider skull. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of a collection of things going on here. But anyway, I'm going to say goodnight. There are 2 shows coming up. I'm going to San Antonio and I am going to El Paso. I will be posting those flyers tomorrow in all the relevant places. And you guys can help me promote. I am also trying to design a shirt for this outing. So I'm doing the best I can. But yes, I'm going to be in San Antonio on the week of Thanksgiving, but not on Thanksgiving, earlier in the week, and El Paso the day after Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be spending Thanksgiving by myself in El Paso. Not happy about that, but I am happy that I'm going to be playing in El Paso on the day after. So it's going to be fun. A Texas 2-step, that's right. But anyway, so tomorrow I'm going to post this in its entirety. But give me a few days because I still have to post videos from the last one. Man, I'm falling behind. But yeah, tomorrow's priority and next week's priority is shirt designs, because I got to get something done so that I can get it off to the printers and all that crap. That is the other thing. So, but yeah, I'm going to be playing again San Antonio and El Paso in November, and that'll be fun. A nice weekend out. I had hoped for Chicago, but it didn't happen this year, although it would have been awesome. I play El Paso on the 25th. But do not quote me on anything because I haven't posted the flyers. But they are on the Abox Facebook page. They should be there by now. If they're not, they will be tomorrow because I'm going to make sure that I do that. It's a priority. So I will let you know. But anyway, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to play the last bit that ends this thing. And I will see you next week. Take care of each other. Be mindful of one another. Be kind to one another. Even if you disagree on stuff. Have conversations, folks. Have conversations. Anyway, here's the last song. And that's it.
No, this is one of the surprises of the evening. This is not planned. No. Algo diferente. Hace como más o menos 10 minutos escuché que 17 personas esta noche. Entonces tenemos que estar muy agradecidos por nuestras vidas. Muy importante. Entonces, esta es para esas personas. Bravo. Nice and slow. Really slow. Just think, yeah, really slow. No tengo labios de sus sueños, lo siento. You're doing okay. That's hip hop. How you want it? Slow, like. That's it. When the routine bites hard and ambitions are low, and the resentment rides high and emotions won't grow, taking different roads. When love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again. Ooh, keep going. Why is the bedroom so cold? Turn away on your side. Is my timing that flawed? Our respect runs so dry. Yet there's still this appeal that we've kept through our lives. When love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow.
One, two, three.
Hi, I'm Tanya.
This is Claude.
And I'm Paul.
Somos Anything Box y le queríamos decir que mañana vamos a Cusco. Por culpa del terremoto no vamos a tocar hasta el domingo, pero no se preocupen, volvemos el domingo y vamos a tener un buen show y esperemos que todos vengan. Los planes se han movido, pero no han cambiado. Igual vamos a hacer un buen show porque es rock.
Ajá. Entonces no se preocupen porque estamos disfrutando su país y estamos muy emocionados por estar aquí con ustedes y queremos regresar y tener un buen show el domingo.
Okay.
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?